Why do we give to charity? What's the best way to donate? What should we be careful about when giving? How can we be effective when giving? These are questions that we need to think about when engaging in charitable giving. Sometimes, making money can actually be simpler than figuring out the best way to give it away. That's why, just like we put thought into earning and investing our money, we should be equally thoughtful about how to donate it to make the most meaningful difference. No matter the size of your donation, big or small, it's important to think through these issues carefully. All right, let's begin with the foundational question. Why do we participate in charitable giving? The motivations for giving to charity are numerous and varied from person to person. First, let's talk about altruism. A lot of us give because we just feel this deep-rooted need to help others. It's like a moral compass that points us toward compassion. Next, let's talk about social responsibility. Some folks are deeply committed to giving back to their community, particularly if they've received help or support themselves. It's like a cycle of goodwill, also known as paying it forward. Then there's the personal satisfaction. Don't underestimate the happiness or sense of purpose that comes from giving. It can be incredibly fulfilling. For some, religion or spirituality guides their charitable acts. Whether it's tithing or some other form of giving, they see rewards beyond the material world. Let's not forget about social influence. Sometimes our friends, family, or even social norms nudge us to donate. It's like a societal ripple effect. Tax benefits, absolutely, that's a factor too. When you give, you can often deduct it on your taxes, so it's a win-win situation. Legacy is another big one. Some people give because they want to make a lasting impact, something that endures even after they're gone. And don't overlook networking. When you get involved in charity, you meet people. It can open up your social circle and even advance your business connections or career. Last but not least, crisis response. When there's a natural disaster or some other emergency, we often see a spike in giving. It's like a collective effort to make things right. So, while we all may have different reasons, the core idea is the same. We want to make a positive difference in the lives of others, whether it's individuals, communities, or even the entire world. All right, now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How to give effectively. You see, it's not just about writing a check. You need to think this through carefully. Begin in your own backyard. If you have relatives or friends who need help, assisting them is a direct way to make a difference. The saying, charity starts at home, holds true. After that, think about local or faith-based groups in your community where you can witness the real impact of your giving. But don't stop there if your circumstances allow. Think bigger. National causes can help you address the broader systemic issues. And if you've got a global mindset, international charities work on challenges that affect us all, like poverty and climate change. So what you get is this layered approach that touches lives locally and globally. Now, what should you keep in mind when you're deciding where to donate? First off, what are you deeply passionate about? Pick a cause that really speaks to you. Do your homework. There are many resources online that can help you pick a trustworthy organization. And don't be afraid to ask for advice. Experts in the field can provide valuable insights. Set some goals. Know what you want to accomplish with your giving. And when it comes to how much and how often you give, be realistic but also consider what the charity actually needs. Does your employer match donations? That's a great way to double your impact. If money's tight, remember that time is also a valuable donation. Consider volunteering. And you know you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. If you're making a large donation, think about splitting it across different causes. Gifts in kind, like goods or services, are also welcome at many charities. And finally, follow up. See how your contribution is making a difference. Keep yourself in the loop. So, that's a lot to consider. But the point is to be thoughtful, to be intentional. Because giving, when done right, is not just generous, it's powerful. Okay, let's dig into something crucial. Red flags and making sure your donations are actually doing good. You need to put on your detective hat for this one. Ask yourself some key questions about the charity. How are they rated? Are they open and honest? Do they have really high overhead costs? Is the CEO's pay tied to aggressive fundraising targets? Are the people running the charity living large while asking for donations from everyday folks? Do they seem too pushy in their advertising or fundraising? Or maybe a little vague about what they're actually doing? Here's a key question to consider. Is the charity showing you real proof of their positive impact? For instance, how are the projects they launched a few years ago faring now? Are those initiatives still effective? Or does the charity seem to be constantly shifting its focus to new projects, letting the older ones languish and fade away? And keep an eye out for something called mission creep. That's when a charity starts drifting away from its original goals and starts doing all kinds of things that don't really line up with their mission. It's usually a sign that they're losing focus or maybe even chasing money rather than sticking to their purpose. If a charity is trying to solve every problem under the sun, chances are they're not solving any of them effectively. Also, watch out for charities that are sitting on a pile of money. It's not necessarily a deal breaker if a charity has some reserves or even an endowment, because that can help them weather tough times. But the key is there should be a clear plan for how they're going to use that money to make a difference. Now let's talk about the charities that seem to be constantly desperate for funds, almost like professional beggars. It's one thing to fundraise, but it's another to always make it feel like an emergency or putting on the guilt trip. Organizations that try to make you feel so guilty about a problem that you're compelled to donate money. That kind of pressure is unethical, but could be a sign of poor planning or even mismanagement behind the scenes. It also suggests the charity might be overcommitting to projects without fully understanding the financial capacity of their main supporters, which can put undue strain on those who do want to help. Strategy is important. You know how you diversify your investments to spread the risk. Do the same with your charitable giving. Even good charities can make serious strategic mistakes, stumble, or become less effective over time. By spreading your donations around, you can minimize the risk of your philanthropy falling flat. Different organizations can also offer you a richer understanding of the issues you care about, and if one isn't performing up to par, you can quickly pivot and redirect your efforts elsewhere. So, long story short, be smart, be alert, and be diversified in your giving. That way, you're not just throwing your money into the wind, you're making sure it's going where it'll do the most good. The importance of giving while alive. Giving while you're alive allows you to see the fruits of your charitable endeavors, adjust your strategies based on observed outcomes, and enjoy the emotional satisfaction that comes from active philanthropy. It can be more effective and fulfilling than simply leaving charitable donations in your will. Let's conclude by saying that the practice of charitable giving deserves as much thought and strategic planning as earning or investing your money. It's a complex endeavor that involves assessing risk, diversifying across various causes, and continually reassessing the effectiveness of your chosen charities. Just as you wouldn't haphazardly invest in the stock market or a business venture, your philanthropic contributions should be carefully considered and actively managed to ensure they make the most meaningful impact possible. Finding the right balance when it comes to charity is really a personal thing. It comes down to what matters to you, your own values, and how much risk you're comfortable taking on if you are concentrating your resources narrowly. Trust is important, but always keep your eyes open no matter who you're dealing with. And remember, it's totally okay to make changes along the way if something doesn't feel right. Happy giving, and may your generosity make a world of difference.